what do I do in my life that consistently gives me great ideas? And I think that answer is pretty close to a lot of people's answers, and that is when I take a shower. Shower thoughts is a subreddit.
Okay, I gotta stop. I gotta stop bringing this phone in the shower. I gotta stop doing that. Because it's something recent I started doing. I wasn't always taking my phone in the shower.
I don't know why that works for me. As soon as I get in the shower, as soon as I start washing my hair, I just start having the most vivid trains of thought, and my imagination just gets.
Oh yeah, with your long ass hair. You bored for a long ass time watching all this hair? Yeah, I believe that.
Smart. And it's very rare that I don't turn off the water and say to myself, I need to write that down. So then, I dry myself off, I go find my phone, and I'm going to my notes app, and on the way of getting there, I noticed that I have 10 notifications.
I was about to say.
Let's see what that's about. And, I open up Instagram.
Dude, that's right. This guy went there to write down the notes. First of all, I was going to ask how he's going to write it down, but once he got there, the notification already took him away. All right, so I saw this title that said, if you wish you felt more creative, watch this. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to watch this because I want to be more creative.
When was the last time you were truly bored? I'm going to take a big swing and say that
I have been bored, like truly, truly bored. Actually, it's been a while. But it's hard to make me bored because I like boring stuff. So let's see.
Know who Albert Einstein is. And if you don't, well, that's okay. I'll fill you in. Albert Einstein is a small but important character in the 2023 film Oppenheimer. Now, if you haven't seen Oppenheimer yet, you should watch it. It's
a good movie.
TLDR on Einstein. He was a scientist who had big ideas that left an even bigger impact on the world. Now, this is a video about creativity. Why am I talking about a fictional scientist? Well, even if your job isn't creative in name, it still requires problem solving. And problem solving requires creativity. And scientists, some of our biggest problem solvers, are also therefore some of our most creative thinkers. Einstein being one of the most creative thinkers that we've ever had. So how did this creative intellectual giant come to his ideas? Did he gather some of his colleagues and contemporaries and initiate intellectual sparring matches? Well, probably not. He was actually pretty secluded. Did he pore over previous generations of works trying to find errors and ways of thought? Maybe. But documented, the thing that actually helped him the most was daydreaming. Einstein was a dreamer. He was also a
Wait, another question. When is the last time you daydreamed? It's been a while. Nowadays, I'm like doing a lot of stuff. I'm working, I'm going to the gym, I'm trying to create videos for my future. I don't even remember last time I had enough time to daydream. Or maybe that's tied to boredom, because I don't even remember last time I was truly bored where I had to daydream. And that's another thing why it's so hard to make me bored, because I can just daydream and imagine things.
Apparently. On average, he spent 10 hours a day sleeping. He also took naps in the middle of the day, so much so that he actually devised a system consisting of a cup and a metal spoon that would awaken him if he ever dozed off too hard. And he also engaged in experimental thought exercises that would meander his narrative into moments of eureka. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why doesn't Albert Einstein just grow up and get a job? And you know what? That actually might be a good premise for the second film. I'm actually really excited about the Oppenheimer for it. I couldn't even say it. The truth is...
I was about to say, because if you're sleeping 10 hours a day, you ain't got no bills to pay. We got to pay bills. It's hard to daydream while you're like sleeping 10 hours a day, taking also naps during the day. Damn, Albert Einstein was like, did he not have a job? What the hell?
There's a great deal of irony in one of the world's most creative thinkers solving some of the world's greatest mysteries by removing himself from the world. He would lock himself in a study for days, if not weeks, and just be alone with his thoughts. Which brings me to the question, when was the last time you were truly bored? And please don't say in the middle of watching this video, because I'll be very sad. This brings me to the thing that I want to talk to you today. Boredom. That's a weird M.
Okay, let me put the speed up higher. This guy talks slow.
Is the path, let's make that all capital, to creativity. We're going to explore this statement.
I guess creativity is a way, you could say, I guess creativity is a way to make yourself not bored, right? So if you're bored, you'll think of things that will take away that boredom, making you more creative. You have to be very creative when you're bored. And let's say you have less things to work on, you got to be more creative, right?
because I find it pretty fascinating, and it's not as clear and straight as it would lead you to believe upon first looking at it. In fact, in my time conceiving this talk for this video, it actually threw me for quite a loop. Now, I know that some of you are reading this statement and you are physically just shaking your head from side to side because you do not agree with me at all, because you feel bored all the time, and yet you do not feel creative. So what the hell is this? Well, I think it requires us to break down the concept of boredom a little bit, what boredom truly is, and the purpose that it serves in someone's life. But first, let's talk about creativity. Now, I know there's some of us out there who feel creative all the time. We have an abundance of creativity. And you know what? Hats off to you. You figured it out. Great job. But I think there's even more of us who don't feel creative. At least they don't feel.
How do I control my creativity? Because I do be creative, but it seems like when I'm creative, I'm also like doing something else. Like I can't really stop whatever else I'm doing and focus on my creativity. I was even thinking about quitting my job, saving up some money and quitting my job, and then just try to let my creativity flow. You know what I mean? Give as much time to myself to be creative.
Creative as they used to. In fact, one of the things that I hear all the time is, I wish that I felt as creative now as I did when I was younger. And you know, when I hear that, it really just, it breaks my heart. And I'm here to
I
tell you,
used to have so much ideas when I was younger. Maybe it's nostalgia and I'm remembering it better than it actually was. Maybe it was dumb ideas. But I felt like I used to have very good ideas back in the day when I was younger. Do you feel like that? Am I basically tooting my own horn? There's nothing to toot because I didn't accomplish nothing, but I felt like I had good ideas back then.
that that's not true. That creativity is still within you. But I'm not denying your experience. I understand that that is how a lot of people feel. There are people out there who, when they were younger, they used to draw a lot. They used to draw landscapes or objects or people, and it was their passion. It was their outlet.
That's another thing. I'm very good at drawing. Let me know if you want to see any of my drawings. I'm very good at it. Well, I used to draw with pen. When I used to work as security, it was so boring because we can't be on our phone. I just got to stand there and just watch people come in. So all I did is when there was nobody coming through and I can't be on my phone, I started drawing with the pen, and I was drawing very good. The more I drew, the better my skill became. So that's another thing. Okay, so you could say that's creative. Like, because I was so bored at the job. Wait, hold up. Because I was so bored at the job, I started drawing and became creative. But my drawings weren't creative. They were just realistic. I drew like a BMW.
They were younger. It fueled their creativity.
I drew my crush. You know what I mean? I drew her. But I guess it wasn't no abstract stuff. But yeah, my skill of drawing got better when I was bored.
At most, as an adult, they just draw within the margins of their notes at work. Or for someone else, it could be they used to be in a band, and that was their dream, and that's how they got their energy out. That's how they got their creativity out, and it was, you know, a main focus of their life at one point. And now, the most that serves for you now is you pull your guitar out of your closet and you sit on your bed and you strum a few chords, and it doesn't make you feel much, and you put it back away. Now, I understand that if you have that experience, you want to associate your youth with your ability to be creative. But I'm here to tell you that it's not something that you can't change. It's something that you can change. To be able to bring creativity back in your life, you don't need a time machine. You need to reevaluate how you spend your time every day. So just to illustrate this, let's draw something up, okay? Now, I'm not a good drawer, okay? I think we've established that on the channel at this point, but I'm going to try. I'm not even trying. This is going to be an abstract graph. I'm not going to draw like Bart Simpson or anything. So here we have a circle, okay? And this is before. I don't know how old you are. I don't know how old you used to be when you felt more creative. So this is, you know, a good way to generalize that. And this is now. Let's clock your consumption habits before and your consumption habits now, okay? So before, I'm going to go ahead and assume that you used to watch TV, okay? And now, you still watch TV. But before, what was TV to you? It was
Cartoons.
cable.
Okay.
And let's throw movies in there too. You know, DVDs, movies.
Cartoons.
So let's talk a little bit more about these things. DVDs, you know, it was just the stuff that you had at home. Your parents were able to buy. Movies, every once in a while, you could go out to the movies and you can watch a movie that's in the theaters. Cable, you either had basic cable or local television, or at best, DirecTV or Dish Network that had, you know, maybe 200 channels. And if there was not a network playing something that you wanted to watch, then you just had to deal with it. Let's go over here. TV is Netflix and Hulu and YouTube.
Oh yeah, YouTube.
Now, even if you don't have the money to pay for monthly subscriptions here and here, you still have YouTube. YouTube is essentially a video version of the Library of Alexandria before it burned, times 100,000, if not more. And anything that you can imagine, anything that you can think of in concept, you can put in that search bar, and I guarantee you someone has at least mentioned it. That's insane. You have here what is essentially a fraction of the exponential amount of entertainment.
Okay, so now he's trying to loop back the boredom, right? You used to be more bored because you didn't have enough things to hold your attention and not make you bored. So you had more space for creativity, right?
That's just TV, okay? And I realize that I parenthesized the TV and I didn't parenthesize the TV here. I don't have to tell you. This is permanent, okay? So let's move on. Video games. For a lot of us, we played video games before. We play video games now, right? But what did we play before? We played games that we had, right? And the games that we had were either games that our parents bought us or ones that we were able to drum up enough money to be able to be driven to the store and get something special. So, maybe the couple dozen of games that we were able to have when we were kids, okay? So, small library. Now, if you're an adult who's into video games, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the term backlog. But if you're not, the backlog is essentially a bunch of games that you have purchased over years and years that you have not played. It's a bad habit that video game people have. They like to buy games, but they don't have the commitment to actually play them. Between steep sales and libraries coming with us from generation to generation, and emulation, which basically makes the entire past legacy of consoles available to us for free, again, excess. This is just my way of saying this is 1000x, if not more, of what you had available here. Okay, I know this is sloppy, but I'm getting my point across. Again, something else we filled our time with consumption-wise when we were younger was music. And this is the craziest one, actually. Believe it or not. Music, before, you had CDs or tapes or vinyl, right? Which put CDs here. Or radio.
How old are you assuming we are? Maybe some of you people watching didn't grow up with that.
You might have had Napster. But as much
Napster?
as people want to talk about the early pirating scene online as being like this vast library of stuff, it really wasn't. You could find stuff, but you couldn't find everything. Now you compare this to music. Now, yeah, you have radio, but you also have internet radio. You have thousands of stations that are available to you over the internet, anything FM, as opposed to whatever you had on your local stations. Not only that, you have Spotify.
Spotify and what's
And
the other one?
Spotify, I mean, the value proposition of Spotify is so insane that it boggles my mind. The way I like to talk about this is imagine a video streaming service like Netflix that had every single movie and TV show known to man included in one package for $10 a month, exception of some holdouts. Now turn that into music, and that's what Spotify is. It is insane. We are living in an era of media excess. There's so much here in just these three categories to fill 100,000 lifetimes plus. And I haven't even started talking about social media or your phone.
Yeah.
The difference in the amount of content that you are free to consume here as opposed to here, to say the least, it's dramatic. It's significant. And don't you think that's going to have an impact somewhat?
But what about the fact that now you have more things happening because there's 1,000-fold of more stuff, right? But now you can get more ideas. Why is that not working? Now that you have so many other things that are out there, there's so many other things that can trigger creativity, right? Or is it more important that you have the time and not a lot of things? Maybe when you have too much stuff, it's distraction. Maybe.
Certain parts of your life, say here. Now, with all the things that are available to us in modern times, all of this different media, the variety and the amount of things that we can ingest at any moment of any day, how the hell is anybody getting bored, right? In this situation, you would think that there would be an impossibility. Should boredom even exist in our current climate? Well, hold on. What's the definition of bored? Because I keep saying bored. Hold up.
I don't know. Some people say
Merriam-Webster defines boredom as the state of being weary and restless through the lack of interest. And look at that. There's 4 ads on the screen right now. Well, I actually already thought about this. I already knew this definition, which is why I wanted to make this video. What I find really interesting is that it's possible. In modern times, boredom does not mean the same thing as we assume it does, and therefore doesn't have the same effects that we assume it does. So let's dive a little bit deeper into that. So if we break this down a little bit further, okay? A day in your youth, let's say you started off with a little bit of TV, right? And then that stopped and you got a little bit bored. Maybe your parent dragged you somewhere or something like that. Then you were able to play with some friends, maybe. And then something else happened and you guys were bored. And then you got to listen to some music in the car or on a stereo, and you can see where this is going. There is a variable of interest and boredom, and your day looked like this. Now, I oversimplified it. These are obviously not all going to be the same level of interest, but, please just work with me. Now, let's take a look at our consumption habits today and how it relates to interest and boredom. So you wake up in the day and you check your phone. You look at your phone, you look at Instagram or whatever your favorite place is, and you're stimulated, right? And then you watch some TV, right? And you're watching media and you're taking that in. And then you go to work. But at the same time, you're listening to a podcast that you picked out during the commute, okay? Then you might do some work. But this is not your time to daydream. This is not your time to be bored. This is your time to solve problems, okay? So while it is a point of lack of interest in the day, that belongs to somebody else.
your mind at that point belongs to your employer, unless you're only doing a completely physical like job, like it doesn't require your brain. Yeah, your brain is not being used to think about stuff. You thinking about, oh, do I have to get the job done? What I gotta do now? Or if you're in an environment where you gotta make sure you're safe, you gotta make sure a lot of, if there's construction, all that stuff. Basically, you're not being bored on your own time.
Okay, let's just say your shift is over and you get home and you play some video games, all right? And then you look at your phone. Oh, I forgot. In the middle of this, you had a break, and what'd you do? You looked at your phone, and you see where this is going. Every single
Another thing, people take their phone everywhere. In the bathroom, they take their phone. I'm guilty of that. In the shower, I got my phone. Please help me. But even in the shower back then, I used to have alone time to think. Now, I'm taking my phone in the shower with me and playing a video in the background while I'm taking a shower. I need help. I'm addicted. I'm addicted to phones. I need help. But I'm not doing TikTok at least. That's okay, right?
time that you have an opportunity to be bored, you have a little magic rectangle in your pocket that allows you to not be. And you are constantly overstimulated, and you're keeping yourself up here until you go to sleep. There is no variability in your day. The difference between these two examples is in the first one, the points of interest are a variable throughout the day. This pattern allows your brain to appreciate when it's being stimulated. While over here, it's a constant. Sure, there's parts of your day where you're bored, but it's likely that that's time that you're giving to other people and not necessarily to yourself.
Yeah.
Any part of the day where you have some time to yourself where you could just stare at a wall or think about your own thoughts, you're probably filling it with looking at your phone. You're watching other media and you're looking at other people's lives and you're listening to their ideas and you're witnessing tragedies on a global scale and miracles. And all of a sudden, this becomes your baseline. This is not true boredom. This is you being tired. Your brain is fried. Your dopamine receptors are grabbing onto your shirt, asking you, praying that you either give them even more somehow or give them a break. If you want to know why you were more creative when you were younger, it's because of this. These constant points in time that made you bored. These are the points of...
I mean, I need to double check on that because he didn't explain. He explained that he explained that you have more variation of boredom back in the day, but he didn't explain why that would make you more creative.
your life that allows you to be creative. Because in those times, it caused you to entertain yourself.
Okay, it allows you to be creative, but does it promote your creativity?
Our world, do you ever have to entertain yourself? I know that if I didn't want to, I would never have to entertain myself. In fact, I force myself and I give myself strict guidelines to get in here on a regular basis and spend hours at a time working on things
So is creativity derived from trying to entertain yourself?
that make me feel creative. And I know not everyone has that opportunity. Some of us are working double shifts and they have kids. But the next time that you get home and all the kids are put to bed and you're sitting on your couch, don't pull out your phone. Stare at a wall. And you would be surprised the colors that show up and the shapes that form and the things that you can think of when there's nothing in the way of you thinking them. You know, I know that we've been on a little bit of a narrative journey in this video and that we started with Einstein. And, when I first read that he got most of his big ideas by daydreaming, I didn't care because I was doing a report for 5th grade. But, as an adult reading that, it's pretty eye-opening. And it made me think about, what do I do in my life that consistently gives me great ideas? And I think that answer is pretty close to a lot of people's answers. And that is when I take a shower. Shower Thoughts is a subreddit.
Okay, I gotta stop bringing this phone in the shower. I gotta stop doing that because it's something recent I started doing. I wasn't always taking my phone in the shower. Tonight when I take a shower after I finish doing this video, I'm not bringing my phone in there. I promise you.
For a reason. And I don't know why that works for me. As soon as I get in the shower, as soon as I start washing my hair, I just start having the most vivid trains of thought, and my imagination just gets...
Oh yeah, with your long ass hair, you bored for a long ass time watching all this hair. Yeah, I believe that.
sparked. And it's very rare that I don't turn off the water and say to myself, I need to write that down. So that, I dry myself off, I go find my phone, and I'm going to my notes app. And on the way of getting there, I noticed that I have 10 notifications.
I was about to say.
Let's see what that's about. And, I open up Instagram.
Dude, that's right. This guy went there to write down the notes. First of all, I was going to ask how he was going to write it down. But once he got there, the notification already took him away. What?
My friend sent me a video of somebody playing a guitar and harmonizing with a cat meowing. And I was like, what could get better than that? And then I started looking at my, email, and I saw I got a couple of responses from colleagues. And before I know it, I might not even have gotten to the point where I can remember to write that thing down. The disruption is real. when it comes to these apps on our phones that have been, R&D'd with billions and billions of dollars to reverse engineer our psychology to get us to pay attention to it. And I think honestly,
So I guess the way the world is right now, there's so much disruption where if you have a creative thoughts, it gets disrupted by the phone. So that means if there's a creative no, that means we gotta have an actual like book. Not don't use the notes app on your phone. We gotta have an actual book to write this down.
that is the death of creativity for a lot of people. But if we go back to the statement, boredom is the path of creativity, we're talking about this boredom. So I have a call to action for you. It's not to like and subscribe. It's none of that. What I want you to do is I want you to turn off your devices, and I want you to just go and stare at a wall for however much time you have. If it's 20 minutes, it's 20 minutes. If it's an hour, it's an hour. If it's 2 hours, if you can manage to be bored for 2 hours, to deprive your senses and deprive your brain of anybody else's thoughts but your own for 2 hours, oh man, I guarantee you that you won't feel uncreative at the end of that. So, I don't know. I'm bad at outro.
That's a good challenge. I'm gonna try that, and I'm gonna see. I'm gonna need a book to write it down, not my phone.
Man.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a very good video. I appreciate that. And I'm gonna make sure not to take my phone to the showers anymore. And I'm gonna try to get some time to basically be bored. Maybe look at a wall. I don't know if I want to look at a wall. I might lay down and look at the ceiling. Well, anyways, the point is to try to be alone with your thought and see if I can be creative. That was a good video. Thank you for watching. I encourage you to try the same. Let me know what you like, what works out for you. Bye-bye.